Breaking it down in layman's terms today, I've got a special guest. I've got Ronnell Richards here. Now, I've known Ronnell for a while now, about 4 years in Atlanta, but his social presence, the visual social proof is there. I Am Businessman, the founder of Business in Bourbon, the latest author of Shut the Hell Up and Sell, a true business sales leader, an entrepreneur coach, a lot of titles, and it's all well documented socially. So the proof is there. Ronnell, what it do in layman's terms?
I wish I could sound as cool as you do when you say that. What it do? I love it. I love it. What's up,
Well,
Doug? Thanks so much for the invitation, my friend.
Well, it's
Excited
long
about
over.
this.
Yeah, it is long overdue, and you can hear in his voice. His voice resonates. So if he says what it do, it is definitely true. So that's it. That's a little bit. We got a lot to cover. Arnell's extremely busy man. If you go to LinkedIn or all the social networking sites, Instagram, Twitter, especially LinkedIn, he goes hard in the paint with content, content, content. He's got a program later today, so we're lucky to get him right before the holidays. So, Ronnell, I just want to kick it off with how I met you socially online.
Yeah.
Visual social. He's in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta, but we've only met actually one time face to face. That's going to change in 2022. But I am businessman. I saw this guy have this T-shirt line, and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
okay, I've heard the phrase, I'm, Jay-Z and all that. Can you just reflect on that? Break that down for me in layman's terms, if you can, briefly. I know that's a near and dear thing to you, though.
Well, Doug, so yes, a lot of people are familiar with that term, right? I'm a businessman, right? And coming from some lyrics, some Jay-Z lyrics, some Kanye lyrics, but for me, it's much deeper than that. It actually goes back to my childhood. So way before anyone ever knew Jay-Z or Kanye, I wanted to be a businessman. So, here's how it goes. When I was about 8 years old, I was at a community center, right, in my little local town, and for an event, we had a famous basketball. I think you might have heard this story before, Doug. We had this famous basketball player. His name is Thurl Bailey. Shout out to Thurl.
Familiar with Thurl. Yeah.
Yeah, Thurl used to play for NC State, for the famous Jim Valvano. A lot of you guys may know that from Jimmy V Foundation. Anyway, at the time, he was playing for the Utah Jazz. And he'd come to my little community center that I used to hang out at, and doing what basketball players do, right? Go to the community center, talk to the kids, shoot little hoops, and he walked there. He sat us all down in the bleachers, and he asked us, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And everyone had their little answers, and he came to me, and I said, "A businessman." I don't think I fully knew what that meant at the moment, but it just that's what I envisioned for myself. I wanted to be a businessman. I wanted to be the guy that's making the decisions, wearing the suits, and all that sort of thing. And lo and behold, that's what I've always known that I was going to be. It's what I've always that was my trajectory was set. I think way before I even had figured out, thought that I wanted to be a businessman, thanks to my parents kind of setting me on that path. But that's where it comes from for me. So when I started to put myself out there more, I thought, hey, I want to put something on a shirt that means something special to me. And so that's what I started putting on shirts, man, and started making videos, and people dug those videos and clearly, liked the shirts, but it was way more than
it got my
really
attention.
about those lyrics.
It got my attention. It's funny. And I love the Thurl Bailey thing because I actually had a chance to interview him back in like 2014. I was working a part-time thing for the beatdropsradio.com. And I'll show that picture. Thurl's a tall dude.
Yeah.
And I'm short dude. So it's the picture, and I'll put that picture up, this is obviously we're recording this, but Thurl, when it comes from a big guy like him that resonates, and that's a solid guy. So I love that story. See, I didn't know that. I've seen the T-shirt, the logo, and this man's all about product placement. And speaking of product placement, I'm going to shift to it. The founder of Business in Bourbon, and full disclosure, I'm going to get to an event, Ronnell. I promise you, I will. But I've seen the pictures. I see the events. Let's just talk about how that inception, because it's more than just a networking event. It's an event. It's experiential marketing at its finest.
Yeah. So, when I set out to create the Business in Bourbon experience, the public facing experience, I really wanted to be the networking event. And what I mean by that is just, I wanted to create an event where people actually got value out of the experience, where we actually made impact, and it wasn't just a bunch of salespeople trying to sell each other, right? And so, what we do at Business and Bourbon is really just take a just intense focus on the experience for the audience. And from our perspective, we believe that it's about bringing value to them, but most importantly, bring value to them and their businesses. That's why it's business and bourbon. Sometimes people think that we're about whiskey, and the funny thing is that half of our participants aren't even drinkers. They come for the business. They come for the education, the inspiration, the motivation. That's what we bring. I want everyone that comes to a business and bourbon experience to leave with some sort of emotional impact, right? And it's not about having fun. Fun is overrated. fun, fun is overrated. I want to make impact. And so that's what we focus on, is bringing an experience that people can be enriched by. They can take something from that and be a better business person, be a better professional, maybe there's something that they can take from that from our experience and apply to their personal life. So like it's about way more than getting people together and having whiskey. And that's really what I think the success of our brand has really been about, whether it's our in-person experiences, our virtual experiences, the content. It's because we have an intense focus on serving the audience, nourishing people, giving them something of value in this world that's just filled with so much superficial just crap, whether it's the content out there or whether it's happy hours, all of this stuff. It's just superficial and doesn't really leave an imprint. At Business and Bourbon, we leave imprints. That's what we do.
A couple things I just wanted to allude to, because the name of your event is Business and Bourbon, not Bourbon and Business. So
Yes,
he's
sir.
playing up on business. And you also dropped the word virtual in. I know in 2020 in this pandemic, you made a pivot. You've done Business and Bourbon. It was great to get back at live events, but you've also put in the virtual element. You've had Business and Bourbons on live streams and events like that. Can you speak to that a little bit, that little migration and that pivot? And
Yeah.
what are your feelings on the whole virtual area with events?
Well, yeah, I mean, since 2020, we've probably done somewhere in the neighborhood about 75 virtual experiences, private and public experiences. And so, what we've done is we've created, because here's the thing. Listen, we're all just trying to get back out in person. A lot of us are getting back out in person. We're doing in-person Business and Bourbon events, but there are still times when we need to meet virtually. That's not going anywhere, right? Like if you've got 10 of your top clients and they're in various cities all across the country, let's say they're even in the same city, it's hard to get those people together, right? For one in-person experience. So we created again, the pandemic was, of course, kind of the jumping off point of this, but we created some experiences that, a lot of that our corporate partners have just really leaned into, that were created to connect people. One thing we didn't talk about is our overall tagline at Business and Bourbon, which is do better business through building deeper relationships, right? And so we created some virtual experiences and we execute those in a way to where people can really connect and we can bring value. So we do some virtual whiskey tasting, we do some virtual cocktail experiences, but again, they're not about the whiskey, they're not about the cocktails. Those are the backdrop. We use those as a way to bring people together, to bring value, right? And deliver the messages that we want to deliver, which are messages of education, inspiration, motivation, and empowerment for entrepreneurs and sales leaders. And, the messages that our partners want to deliver to audiences that they value, whether it is their prospects or their customers or their internal stakeholders or whatever it may be. In addition to that, we do some virtual stuff for the community at large, right? Like, so every month we do a Business and Bourbon, just public facing event, right? And
Right.
so in that event, we'll broadcast live over our internal platform. It's totally free to attend, but we're always focused on whatever matters the most right then, and in that month. So we've done and we determine that by what's going on in the world, right? What's going on in the world? What are people really concerned about? And then I will bring in leaders from our community to help talk about these things. And just like our business and bourbon um, in-person experiences, everything's always about the audience. So when I bring these people in to talk, I'll bring in a group of experts for a panel discussion that involves the audience, right? Like, I don't like to talk at people. I like to have dialogue with them. See, and that's part of our magic. It's all about serving the audience, making sure that you guys are giving us your time are getting what you want, right? And so we will. This past year, we did we did an event on writing a book, because there's so many. I just wrote a book, and there's so many people that want to write a book.
There it
And
is.
so, yeah,
We'll
we
get
brought in
into it.
some we brought in experts to talk about that. How do you do it, why to do it, give our community resources to go do it on their own, or to connect with people that can help them. We brought in some dynamic sales leaders to talk about getting over. Actually, last year, at the beginning of the year, we talked about coming back to the office, right? Like, that challenge that we all have, and being off in December and spending time with your family, then coming back in January. And how do you get fired up? How do you get your decision makers on the phone? So we're always, every month, we're trying to focus on creating an experience that makes impact, that helps people. And guys, listen, this isn't just all like altruism, right? Yes, I believe in helping people and I want to help people, but I also know that that is the path to real business success.
Well, you
Help
bring in the
people.
community. I get, not to cut you off, but you bring in which I did, but you bring in the community to the event. You're bringing in business leaders through
Yep.
business and bourbon events.
Yep.
Sure, you've got to just maybe you have a distillery on board. You've got a bourbon to sample, and that's all part of it. The sponsors are part of it. You use code video for some video content. We can touch on that, but I get it, man. It's just not, you're bringing in, people are building relationships from that event to do business. Is
Yes.
that correct? Is that what you're leading to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, that's the win. That's the
Uh-huh.
win. That's what we want. We want people to connect. We want them to collaborate. And we want to be the platform that helps to facilitate those relationships.
100%. And definitely business and bourbon and events. I'm going to shift gears now. We've been waiting for this. Shut the hell up and sell, your latest book that came out
Yeah,
first week of November. You've got a big launch summit coming up, and we'll touch on that. But obviously, I got the copy.
I see it.
Did the Amazon video book review. If you haven't gotten the book, here's my plug. In layman's terms, get the book, watch the video reviews, do a video review, leverage video, keeping it social. All right, enough about all that. I love the book. Let's talk a little bit about, and you probably asked this question 8 million times, why you wrote the book. So let's just throw that standard question at it. Why did you write Shut the Hell Up and Sell? And I realize that you say shut the hell up. It's not just shut up and sell. You're emphasizing something there. It's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I love saying that. Okay. Obviously,
I just
I got the hoodie that you're
yeah.
sporting right now. Thank you so much. But yeah, the hell, shut the hell up and sell. Give it to me, Ronnell.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's just I wanted to throw in an expletive. I think that's what it is. I want to sneak in a little expletive, because a little bit of colorful language
It resonates.
for the masses. Maybe that
Exactly.
was it. So, Doug, that question is it's just it's evolving. And yeah, I get it. I get asked that a lot. Clearly, you write a book, people want to know why you wrote the book. But like, as I sit and reflect on it, it's continuing. The answer is continuing to evolve, because the process of writing the book, the process of getting it out there, and the feedback that I get from the community has just um, kind of caused all of that as part of this process of I don't know, kind of revisiting why I wrote it. And based upon it's the weirdest thing. It's almost like reverse engineering
No,
based
no,
upon what I'm
it's funny you're saying this because it's the journey of writing a book. Because that was kind of my next question. Because from the experience of writing a book, Ronell, what did you learn from it? Well,
oh
you're answering that. You're continuing to learn. You know,
yeah. So, when I started, I just felt kind of called at that moment to share my unique perspective on sales, and business. And what I've learned when I started it, it was like, okay, listen, you know, we talk too much. sellers talk too much, right? We're
Exactly.
talking too much. We're not listening enough. Let me share my best practices for how we can be more effective by saying less and really serving our customer and our prospects. And and so I wanted to teach people how to do that through storytelling from my career and my life, in addition to, giving them some really practical, pragmatic, like simple direction and advice, right? How to do this stuff, how to execute, not overcomplicate it. Like I feel like a lot of things are overcomplicated now. Now, what I've come to learn about myself through this whole process and this journey is that what I was creating, Doug, was not a how to get better at sales book. It was how to build a sales business. It's different. It's different. And that's what I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's
I,
what you know because you're speaking from your own background. You
I'm,
understand that.
you
You're
know,
not
so
Go ahead, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, most of my experience in sales comes from the entrepreneurial, lens, right? So
Mhm.
not only, I coached sellers and workshops and all that good stuff, but like I've created the systems. As an entrepreneur, I had to create the systems that these sellers were going to operate in. And when you create everything, it just gives you so much of a different perspective. And I think about sales like an entrepreneur thinks about sales, right? Thinks about outcomes. And so, what I'm teaching in the book is really how to build a successful sales business, not just as someone that is a full-fledged entrepreneur, but for that seller, and explaining to them that, listen, hey, here's how you set yourself up for the long term, because too much of what we're doing in like sales is like short-term stuff. It's like, okay, do this for this immediate outcome. But what I'm telling people is that do this so that you can not only just eat today, you're going to eat 5 years, 10
Eh,
years, 20 years. This is how you build a career out of this stuff.
no, and I love that because it's like it's leveraging your customers to be advocates so you get continued business. You and I both speak to that all the time, the voice of the
Yeah.
customer. And you show in the first part of the book, it's the philosophy, and you have to get the book because I can talk about it all day, but get the book. Get it from the author. Don't hear me, pontificate over it. But the point is, you talk about the philosophy of selling, your journey in selling. Then you get in some practical, tactical
Yeah.
areas in the second part of the book. Then you turn it over to your story in the third part, which I'm working on it and I'm evaluating on it. And I love the stories. I've asked you on other when you've been on other video calls and stuff, when's the next book coming? Now it's like, well, Doug, let me get through this one. The entrepreneur journey really speaks to me on you. I've interviewed a ton of sales authors, speakers, and they got this book and that book and the
Yeah.
challenger sale and upselling, selling and complex, whatever. I think we're not spending enough time, and I'm just getting on my soapbox about how do we leverage our current customers to build those relationships to have more business. Hence, Business of
Agreed.
Bourbon is a great event to go to. But I don't. I think there's a disconnect, and that's what really jumped out in the pages of the book for me.
Doug, that's the number one question as a, sales trainer and consultant. When you take on a new client or someone wants to talk to you about, working with you, the first question is, okay, how do we grow sales, right? And everyone's always looking on the outside to grow sales. So, my response to them is always, well, what are you doing with your existing base? What are you doing with your existing customers? And so what I'm doing in the book is showing people not only how to be more effective with their existing customers, but I'm telling you how to set up your business the right way to where those customers that you get out of that hamster wheel that we're always on in sales, which is, okay, I got to go get it this month. I go get it next month. And it's like it's a marathon of sprints. And, I'm saying, listen, when you do this way, not only are you going to, you're going to build the foundation for a successful business, but you're going to find this stuff gets easier as it goes on. And it should get easier if you're doing the right things on the front end. And then you're leveraging those connections, those advocates that you're building for you and your brand to success. Because that's another thing. Like I sat I did a training call with a group of founders a week ago, and they were all doing fantastic, all doing good business, but none of them are getting they're not getting very much repeat business or referral business, which is so common, right? It's so common because the way that a lot of us go about those sorts of repeat or referral relationships, it's there's really no activation or no consistent activation. It
It's
becomes just
almost
about
transactional.
happenstance.
Get it done, move on.
Well, and it
Eh,
becomes like referrals and that sort of thing are more, they're not repeatable and predictable. They are, a happy occurrence, right? Like a happy random occurrence, right? So like, oh, customer said, oh, thank you. But like what I'm telling people is that when we do this thing the right way and we set up the system the right way, we can go back to the well with these folks constantly. And they become, once they've reached that advocate status for us, they become sellers. They're non-payroll sellers for us. So they're selling for us now. And you build your business successfully on the foundation of advocates, right? And then really understanding on who you serve, right? And replicating that, right? Instead of casting wide nets and always looking on the outside
right.
for sales, right?
And you speak to that. We speak for the same language on the customer advocacy. And there I say, he's talking a little bit about the foundation of the organic sale. Get the
Mhm.
book, you'll know about that. And avoid the solution monster. Get the book.
Yeah.
He talks about that. I'm not going to spend the whole time on the book. Get the book. But no, I'm on the same page. You got to harvest those sales. You got to plant those seeds if you're current customers. Do
Mhm.
good work and continue to do good work, especially times like this. Hey, you've got a summit coming up about the book in January in 2023. You released the book first November 1st, if I remember correctly, because
Yeah.
I ordered the book on Amazon. I've said that 16 times now. But just talk a little bit about the summit. You're always doing something, but I'm hyped about that. And I know there's some guests that I've actually had a chance to interview or know. And I know Wesley Greer's going to be there. Ken Lundine's going to be there. Nick Nelson's going to be there. So it's going to be more than just Ronnell talking about his book.
Doug Lehman's gonna be there,
Yeah, I
like,
have no excuse, no Braves game or nothing or a rain delay to jack me up. But yeah, I will be there. I'll bought the
so
ticket. I better be there. So I know it. Putting it out there, public declaration. I
let's
will be there.
go. Let's go. So, let's go ahead and rewind this and go back to what
Sure,
I said
unpack it.
early on in this conversation, which is our tenant is really one of our tenants rather is about service and serving our audience and making impact, right? Everything that we do on all my brands, whether it's business and bourbon book, I'm about impact and not just superficial stuff. As you look at the book, I've told people often that the book is all cake. No
Yeah,
frosting, right?
right.
It's all cake. We want substance. No one loves when you go and buy that cupcake at that fancy cupcake spot that charges $7 for a cupcake and like it's 75% frosting, right? We're all
Right,
cake.
right.
To that end, the the summit here at the first of the year, January 18th, is all about making an impact and serving our community of sales leaders and tying that all into the book. So I wanted to create an experience where sales leaders in Atlanta and surrounding areas fly in. We got people flying in. So if you can get here, get here. But anyway, I wanted to create an experience to get people fired up, get them ready to go, get them successful early on, get them off to a good start here in 2023. And so the summit is about bringing, we're bringing 12 speakers in. Again, tying this all into the book, Shut the Hell Up and Sell, but we're breaking down into 3 modules to help people get ready for the first of the year. So we're doing our Shut the Hell Up and Sell segment. We're doing our Shut the Hell Up and Brand segment. And we're doing our Shut the Hell Up and Grow segment, right? So each of our speakers, they're going to give you like 5 to 7 minutes of just power packed information, education, inspiration, motivation, like we do at Business and Bourbon, focused on those 3 modules or those 3 segments. So when you leave this experience, you're ready to go, man. Either, you feel more armed up to go hit the sales floor, or a lot of folks are focused on, we chose those 3 segments or those 3 modules, because that's what's top of mind for folks right now, especially at the beginning of the year. It's like, okay, I got to sell, or I got to work on building my brand, or I want to work on being a better professional. And so that's what we wanted to focus on. In true business and bourbon fashion, everything is always about collaboration. It's always about energy and engagement. And so this is not a sit down and watch us thing. This is an event that's going to be hosted at Center Stage in Atlanta, which is a concert venue. And so it'll be high energy, people up and moving around, connecting, collaborating, and that's what we want. So I wanted to, again, create an environment where people can connect, because that's what we do at Business and Bourbon. And then we're going to arm people with education through our speakers. So I'm excited. It's going to be a really great time. So I hope that as many of you guys can get out there as possible before we sell out.
Absolutely. And I'll put links and information about it. And I like the analogy of it's with your events. You got the business, you got the leadership, you got the community, you got the resources there, and it's the cake, not just the frosting.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that, it's about substance. So I've got to pull this out here, because when you shut the hell up and sell, active listening and do that, but you also can tell when somebody's full of it. And this is a bobblehead from The Wire, and you know when somebody's not giving you good information, they're just talking.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You don't know shit.
And it took that from the book, and anything that you say, hey man, proof is there. You can tell when somebody's talking too much, talking loud and saying nothing. Just wanted to put that in there. It was a 90s The Wire thing. Some people will pick up on that. Some people say, what is he doing? It's called a pattern interrupt in an interview. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. Ronnell, what else would you, as we wrap this up, anything else, parting shots that you would like to share with our audience?
Doug, I think that if I can leave you guys with anything, I just want you to think about, sales and how you go about it. And what I'm trying to coach and teach in this book is that not only should it be much simpler than we're making it right now. I think we're overcomplicating it, but I think people are getting away from the joy. They're getting away from the philosophy of service and helping and solutions that, I believe is at the heart of sales, right? Like it's not, and guys, when I'm saying this, don't think it's some hokey altruistic guy. I'm a business guy at the end of the day. And I know that to be successful in sales, the most successful people start from a place of service. Why? Because it makes logical sense. If I can
100%
provide you something of service, something that matters to you, well, you're going to buy it, and then you're going to buy more. So this isn't just a lot of people, I think, when they start talking philosophy and things like that in sales, it's this hokey altruistic bullshit, and I don't trust those people. I think they're full of shit. I'm coming to you guys. I'm coming to you straight up, like there you go, straight up. This is how when I'm talking to people about philosophy, Doug, I'm changing the narrative, and I'm trying to tell people why it makes sense for them from a business standpoint. I think too many people are focused on just like make the world a better place. And sure, do we all want to make the world a better place? Sure, we do. But when they're like 90% on that, I'm like, oh, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. You're selling me a line.
Yeah, the servant leadership is a proof in the pudding. You keep it 100, as I like to say.
Yeah,
you keep it 100 with the servant leadership. Ronnell Richards, ton of content on LinkedIn. I'm all about visual social proof, as you know, audience. But this guy putting content out there and constantly evolving with new things, events, business and bourbon, shut the hell up and sell. His latest book. You can go to Ronnell Richards' website. We'll put the links up. Shut the hell up and sell. It's got its own website, Business and Bourbon. Last but not least, Ronnell, let's wrap it up for me. I asked you for a parting shot, and I kind of cut you off right there. The servant leadership really spoke to me 100%. Yeah. But let back to you. Let you roll this out.
So I'll just end with this, Doug. What I'm saying in that is that, yeah, I believe in doing the right thing. I believe that, we all should, but that doesn't mean that people will, right? So what I'm trying to educate people to is that doing the right thing is actually what's good for business. This is why it makes business sense. These are conversations that I have with diversity, equity, and inclusion with big companies as well and small companies. Like, hey, listen, I know that we all know this is the right thing to do, right? We agree. Yeah, that's right. The thing that doesn't mean they will do it. So what I try to tell them is, hey, look, this is why it's good for business. When you do this, here are the numbers. Here's what happens. You sell more, and that gets far more traction. So again, I'm just trying to educate folks that not only is it great, is it, the right thing to do to serve people and to build relationships, but here's why it works for business. Here's why it's good for business. Here's how you create a successful sales business that's going to last way beyond your current job, your current company, whatever's going on in your world. This is how you build a career, a successful career out of this stuff. So that's where I will leave it. Go get the book, Shut the Hell Up and Sell.
Go get the book, Shut the Hell Up and Sell, but definitely check out Ronnell on all the social channels. His podcast, he's got a couple of them, maybe three or four in the works. Business and Bourbon podcast. We really didn't touch on that. There's so much. Look, I'm telling you, LinkedIn, the visual social proof is there. We're all about credibility, being a trusted advisor. This guy here, Ronnell, he's the truth. He's a servant leader. He gives back, but it's all about business, baby. Ronnell, thank you so much for being on Layman's Terms.
Man, it was a pleasure, Doug. Thank you, sir.
Check him out, Ronnell Richards, and definitely get the book, Shut the Hell Up and Sell, and just embrace yourself in Ronnell's content. In layman's terms, keeping it social, leveraging video for better client and customer engagement. Thank you for social watching.